In Anambra today, there's a breaking headline that has everyone talking. Labour Party loses in Peter Obi's polling unit during the 2025 election. Now let's take a moment to break this down because it's a big deal. And trust me, this will get interesting as we go. You see, Peter Obi is no stranger to the people of Anambra. His political career has been deeply connected to this state. When the Labour Party, LP, loses in his very own polling unit, it raises eyebrows. This isn't just any polling unit. This is his area where he's cast his vote. So, what happened? In polling unit Zomantine in a Gulu ward, Anaucha local government area, the Labour Party candidate, George Mogalu, only managed to get 57 votes. Now, let's compare that to his competitors. The candidate from the All Progressives Congress, APC, Nicholas Ukachukwu, walked away with 63 votes. And from the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, there were 38 votes. When we look at this from a numerical angle, it's a clear indication that the LP didn't quite manage to get its base in the polling unit fired up. And let's be clear, this unit is directly tied to Peter Obi's stronghold. It's supposed to be his turf, his home ground. What does this mean? To start with, it's a sign of shifting dynamics. If a candidate loses in their own polling unit, it speaks volumes. It's not just about the numbers, it's about the message it sends. So, why did this happen? There could be a couple of reasons. First off, we need to consider voter behavior. Sometimes people vote based on who is physically around them. There are local candidates, their neighbors, the familiar faces they see during the campaign. This means while Peter Obi's name might carry weight on a national level, the local candidate needs to make a connection. And it seems like APC's Ukachukwu was able to make that connection a little better in that polling unit. Secondly, voter apathy, state, and disillusionment. Let's face it, not every voter in Anambra is convinced by the promises of every politician. Some might have been thinking, well, we've heard it all before. It's also possible that the way the election was managed, or even how candidates presented themselves, didn't strike a chord with enough voters. And then there's vote buying. First, there have been reports of vote buying in various parts of the state, and that's a real concern. If voters are getting paid to vote a certain way, it really messes with the integrity of the whole election process. It's a situation we can't ignore because it distorts the will of the people. If vote buying was at play here, that could have swung things in favor of other parties, especially in a hotly contested state like Anambra. But let's not get too carried away with the negativity. There are still plenty of valid reasons for this outcome, and there's a lot of uncertainty. We can't read too much into one polling unit result. It's just one piece of the puzzle. And who knows, there might be other units where Labour is performing stronger than expected. The real test will be looking at the bigger picture. Once all results come in, we need to keep an eye on card turnout. If the turnout in Obi's strongholds is lower than expected, that might point to voter disengagement. If the youth vote, which largely supported Obi in the past, is showing signs of waning, that's a bigger conversation we need to have as a nation. Why are young voters turning away from the party? And are other parties doing more to engage them? Now, what will Peter Obi and his team do moving forward? This is a critical time for the Labour Party. And while one loss at a polling unit doesn't decide the entire race, they have to take this result seriously. Peter Obi's political strength has always been tied to the masses and the grassroots. They have to re-energize their base, especially with the youth, and focus on rallying supporters in the areas where they're seeing these challenges. It's time for them to double down on local engagement, ensuring they have the right people in the right places talking to the right voters. On the other hand, APC is seeing a surge, and for them, this is definitely a morale boost. Winning a polling unit in Peter Obi's backyard is no small feat. It shows they are gaining ground in what was once considered a Labour stronghold. However, this is not the time for complacency. They've got to keep up the momentum. They can't just rest on one small victory. They need to keep pushing in other units, engaging voters, and ensuring that they stay connected with the masses. Let's talk about future implications. If Labour continues to lose in their own backyard, That's a trend we need to watch closely. What does that say about the wider appeal of the party in the state? The next few days will be crucial in determining how the Labour Party responds, but one thing is for sure. This result has shaken up the race. And speaking of the race, we can't forget that the Avnon governorship election in Anambra is just one piece of a larger political puzzle in Nigeria. If Labour starts losing its grip here, it could spell trouble for them in other states. Peter Obi's loss in a key polling unit might not only affect Labour's chances in Anambra, but could also impact the wider political climate leading up to future elections. This is why every little detail counts. For APC, this win is a reminder that no party should feel too comfortable. A well-organized, well-funded campaign can make a huge difference. And that's exactly what APC has been doing. But as we know, the electoral game is far from over. We still have more polling units to be counted, and the results can shift as the day progresses. One thing we must keep in mind is the long-term impact. If Labour is serious about maintaining its momentum, they have to reassess their strategies, from campaigning to voter engagement to addressing concerns around vote buying and unfair practices. They have to create an environment where people believe in the process and believe in what they stand for. This starts at the grassroots and has to filter up. Without that, things could get tricky. So, as we discussed, one polling unit result can't completely change the course of an entire election, but it can certainly set the tone for what's to come. And we're seeing the results from Peter Obi's polling unit raise some important questions. The Labour Party, traditionally strong in Anambra, will now need to reflect on what happened here. Was this a temporary hiccup, or does it represent a larger issue that could affect their broader campaign? We have to think about the implications of this loss in the context of the broader election. Anambra's results might not just be a reflection of Labour's local performance, they could be an indicator of a wider national trend. Think about it. If Labour is struggling in its base areas, what does that mean for other states, especially those that are considered key battlegrounds in the upcoming elections? For Labour to win these battles, they need to reconnect with their base, shore up any weaknesses, and refocus on what made them popular in the first place. But at the same time, we cannot ignore that the APC is gaining traction. This is an important signal for them. They've managed to win in one of the Labour Party's most crucial areas. That's something they can leverage in the future. And we know that APC has been pushing hard to solidify its position in southern Nigeria. This loss in Peter Obi's polling unit is a sign of potential cracks in Labour's stronghold. And the APC will want to capitalize on that moving forward. Now, we also need to talk about voters' turnout and engagement. If we see that certain polling units are experiencing low voter turnout, it could be an indication of voter apathy. People might feel disconnected from the process or believe that nothing will change. This is a challenge that every party faces, not just Labour or APC. Voter engagement is critical in every election. And if parties aren't doing enough to rally people to the polls, it's a missed opportunity. What's even more interesting is that we're also seeing reports about vote buying. If vote buying is occurring in Anambra, as some reports suggest, then we have to seriously question how fair these elections are. Yes, people will argue that this happens everywhere, but it doesn't make it right. It distorts the results and prevents people from voting freely. If parties or candidates are involved in this practice, it's something the authorities need to crack down on. Transparency and integrity in the election process are paramount, and we all deserve to know that our votes count for something real. But let's step away from the drama for a second. What does this result tell us about the future of Nigerian politics? We've seen shifts before, and elections in Nigeria are always full of surprises. This could just be one of those early surprises that makes us question assumptions and forces everyone to adjust their strategy. After all, politics is a game of momentum. A small win here, a small loss there, they all add up to something much bigger in the end. I think the key takeaway from today's events is that every vote counts. And that means for Labour, for APC, and for every party involved. Whether you're in Peter Obi's polling unit or in another corner of Anambra, your vote has an impact. And when we see results like this, it's a reminder that campaigns need to keep the pressure on name. They can't afford to rest on their laurels. The race isn't over yet, and there's still time for both sides to make adjustments, sharpen their messaging, and mobilize their supporters. So, what comes next? We're looking at more votes being counted, and as the numbers come in from other polling units, it will give us a clearer picture of whether this is an anomaly or a sign of deeper troubles for the Labour Party. It's still early, but these types of results tend to have a ripple effect across the entire state. If Labour doesn't figure out what went wrong in Peter Obi's backyard, it could hurt them in other places as well. On the other hand, if APC continues to perform strongly, they might surprise us all. They'll be hungry for more wins, and this one victory could fuel them to keep pushing hard. It's all about who can stay consistent, who can keep rallying their base, and who can manage the post-election narrative effectively. Winning in a key polling unit is one thing, but holding on to that advantage as the race unfolds is a whole different challenge. Now, looking beyond just the election results, we have to wonder how this plays into Nigeria's larger political picture. Elections at their heart are about trust. Voters want to know that their voices will be heard, that their concerns will be addressed, and that their future is in good hands. If Labour loses trust in its base, if they can't even win in their own strongholds, it raises a bigger question. Can they really lead on a national level? And for APC, the challenge will be maintaining momentum while appealing to a broader swath of the population. They've gained ground, but can they keep up the energy? Here's the thing. This isn't just about Anambra. It's about the entire country. Every time a political party performs well, it sends a message to voters in other parts of Nigeria. If Labour can't hold it down in Anambra, what happens when it's time for national elections? Will they be able to energize the same base across other regions, or will they falter? Can APC use this momentum to crack into other traditionally Labour-strong areas? But let's not forget the Banpa youth vote. If the youth are growing disillusioned with the Labour Party, what's the next move? Parties need to keep their eyes on that. The youth are the future of Nigeria, and without their support, no party will be able to take Nigeria forward. Whether it's Labour, APC, or any other party, they need to keep the youth engaged, offer real solutions, and not take them for granted. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this result? Do you think this loss in Peter Obi's polling unit is just a fluke, or is there something deeper happening? Is this a sign of things to come for the Labour Party? And what do you think the APC is doing right? Drop your comments below and let's keep this conversation going. Don't forget to like this video if you think the 2025 Anambra elections are getting exciting, and subscribe to the channel for more updates as the story unfolds. I'll be bringing you the latest as soon as we have new developments. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, your vote matters. Keep up with the news, stay informed, and I'll catch you in the next video.